Let's see. Kelsey, if he just copied yours, then how do I actually know he understands it? If he just copied yours, then how do I actually know he understands it? I don't know either. Okay, that's what, okay. You know who was really genius on the study guide? Do you know who was really genius on the study guide? There are actually two people I've seen that were really genius on the study guide from the last test. And you're going to be really surprised that one of the two geniuses actually was Seth, which is why his group is getting a point. Were you allowed to have the study guide on the last test?
No.
Yeah, you were. Did I post my key?
Yep.
You know what Seth did?
Printed the key out.
He printed the key out. He printed the key out. I didn't say you couldn't. He printed the key out and had it during the test. It's pretty genius. He's not the only one who did it. Someone second period did it too. But anyway, I thought that was genius. Okay, let's go ahead and go over these four. I don't want to start with number 7. Why am I skipping number 7? 3 said it first. Leading coefficient's got 1, so it's going to be more of a difficult one. Let's start on an easier one for the day. Let's start on 8. Say it again, Day. I heard you say it. It was either you or Paige. It was Day then. What was it? Did you not say the numbers? This doesn't seem right. 1 loose point. Take one away. No, you're on my nerves. Thank you, Eduardo. You can have the point. -3, -2, add together to -5. -3 times -2 is +6. That's perfect. Number 9 is probably my favorite of the day. Why? And 6 gets another point. It's the difference of perfect square. So it's going to be, what's my answer? There is a 7, but tell me about the other number. Okay, a 3K, and then tell me about the signs.
Minus.
Yes, they're opposite signs. Okay, 1 and 3 can have a point. 6, I already gave you a point for this problem, so I'm going to save it in. No, they're not going to both be minus. If they were both minus, -7, -7 would be +49. So they have to be opposite signs in order to get that -49. Okay, let's go back to number 7 and be brave. If you like Brister's method to slide, divide, bottoms up, that's great. You know I'm a guess and check kind of person. So I'm debating, should I do 2 and 2 or 4 and 1? I got some options. I don't know if I should do 2P and 2P or 4P and P. 2P and 2P. I don't know. Maybe. I'm going to test it out and see. I don't know if I should do things that multiply to 49. So I could do, what are my options? 7 and 7, or what else multiplies to 49? 7 and 7, yeah. 13 and what? 13 and 4 is 52, so no. So there's 7 and 5 is 35. 7 and 7 is 49. I'll give you that. What else multiplies to 49? It's one obvious one. Yeah. 1 and 49. Yeah. We're overthinking our lives. So I've got to decide, am I going to put 7s or am I going to put 49 and 1? What am I going to do? I'm wanting a 35 in the middle. That's why we're guessing and checking. I'm thinking 7 and 7. Just because 49 and 1 doesn't sound like a lot of fun. Should they both be positive, both negative, opposite signs? Pay attention to the problem given. We want to get a positive 49, so they've got to have the same sign. Should I do 2 pluses or 2 minuses? 2 minuses, because that middle is a 35. Okay, so I guess, let me check it. Let's see, if I FOIL, I get 4p squared minus 28p minus 7p plus 49. Have I guessed correctly?
Yes.
Yes, because 28 and 7 make 35. So this is the correct answer, and actually for once in my life, I guessed correctly to begin with. Yay. The only difficult one of the day is number 10, and it should not be difficult, and there will be a difference of perfect cubes on the next test. There will be a difference of perfect cubes on the next test. Okay, so we talked about before we start guessing stuff, we talked about a specific acronym we're supposed to remember when we're doing cubes. We talked about it was 4 letters, and we were going to remember it to help us keep up with our signs. We knew we were going to have a binomial that had 2 terms, and then a trinomial that had 3. And we had an acronym that was supposed to help us remember the signs of this binomial and trinomial. Say it again, man. Yep, 4 gets 2 points. So, same sign. Opposite sign, and then always positive. Okay, my sign is negative, so same sign would be a negative. Opposite sign would be a plus. Always positive is a plus. Now I've just got to figure out what letters or what variables or what numbers to plug in. I know x to the third. If I'm trying to figure out how to get to x to the third, x times x times x is x to the third. What to the third is 27. Question mark to the third is 27. It is 3, Eduardo, get another point. So I'm needing to use x and 3. So I'm going to have x, 3. And then remind me what goes in this slot. X what? Okay, and then what goes in the very last slot? Because 3 squared is 9, and then what goes in the middle? 3 what? I know 1 and 4 were helping me, so 1 and 4 get a point. Again, if I just figure out the cube numbers, so I know 3 cubed is 27. It ends up being that number there, x squared, 3 squared, and then 3 times x in the middle. We did a bunch of these about a week and a half ago. A bunch of these. It's on the next test, I'm telling you. Most people on the test from Tuesday. It's really curious that they were very, very good at long division and synthetic division. Well, there are exceptions to that rule. But most people did a very good job on long division and synthetic division. And you know where they messed up the most? The easy ones that were rules of exponents. So I'm telling you, for some reason, the ones that are coming from our math workshop are the ones that are killing your grade. So I would put a star by that one because it's going to be on the next test. A friend of it is going to be on the next test. Okay, tomorrow we're going to finish the rest. Let's go to not your cute handout from yesterday, although I love your cute handout from yesterday, and it will be useful in life. Let's go to your notes, your packet of notes. I want to go to, it's the 3rd page of your notes on the back. It says independent practice at the top and looks like this. Yes, perfect. There's another stack. Let me read and try it. There they are. Perfect. Thank you. Okay, yeah, just read. Okay, let's see. Before we go crazy and talk about the new little bit we're going to talk about today, which is actually just as easy as yesterday, I do need some help remembering some things. And if your group is lacking points, here is your chance. And if you don't know this by the next test, my gosh, you're in so much trouble. Yes, dear. I don't have it. I packed up all my stuff. You're welcome. It's still the note packet from the last test. It's still the note packet from the last test. Sorry, guys. I forgot to say that. Sorry, your group can have a point for asking. Okay, so there are a few things I want to know before we get started today. I have made 6 little problems really fast. All I need to know is what we were talking about yesterday, which deals with end behavior. And we're supposed to now know the basic graphs of a polynomial raised to the second power, called a quadratic, a polynomial raised to the third power, called a cubic, a polynomial raised to the fourth power, called a quartic. Do you have to know those names? No. But when you see that in those numbers, you automatically think of a certain graph in your head, yes. Okay, so the first one's the easiest. What should I think of when I see a positive leading coefficient and the degree is 2? Be specific about that parabola, Eduardo. Be specific about it. Tell me what now? Is this the W one? The squared?
No, it's an M. Because only 3 4.
Is it the squared one? A squared one is a W.
No, only 3s.
Eduardo was correct. It's a parabola. All I wanted him to say was it was a happy one. Why is it a happy parabola? Because that positive leading coefficient. So on this one, that's still the same degree. That's got a negative leading coefficient. All I'm going to do is change it to a negative. Yes, dear.
Didn't you say only 3s? Like,
No, W and M is
4.
okay. So we're supposed to know that the W's and M's that you're trying to tell me about are down here with the 4. It's a W if it's a positive leading coefficient. So my leading coefficient is positive. My degree is 4. It's an M if it's a negative leading coefficient. Again, my degree is 4. Okay, but if I show all of these on the screen at the same time, tell me what we're supposed to notice when we have an even exponent, like a 4 or a 2. Tell me what happens with that end behavior. What's the end behavior, and tell me about it. What is end behavior? We talked about it yesterday. The direction on the ends, and then what are we supposed to notice about when they have an even exponent? Did they one go up and one go down on evens? No, they have to match. So either they both go up, or they both go down, or they both go up, or they both go down. If it's an even, the ends match. The leading coefficient, meaning positive or negative, lets you know if it points up to heaven, if it's positive leading coefficient, down to hell if it's negative leading coefficient. Okay, and then someone already answered my question when we were guessing about parabolas. They already answered my question about a cubic. It is a snake. It's a little harder to remember. There's the positive one. There's the negative one. Again, my degree is 3. My leading coefficient is negative on this one. My leading coefficient is positive. My degree is 3. What we're supposed to notice about their end behavior is that they are opposites. This one goes down, this one goes up. This one goes up, this one goes down. And I don't remember if I said it very well first period. I swear I say words better second or third. If only you had me the third go around on this. I say it a little better, more clearly. To keep track of which one is the positive cubic and which one's the negative cubic, I think of a certain animal, which is I think of a snake. Now, I don't know if I said this yesterday, but when we read, do we start on the left or on the right? You read words on a paper. You start on the left, and when we read a graph, we start on the left. So if I'm reading this from the left, I'm starting down here, right? Let me get a different color. So what I think about is when it's a positive, my snake is climbing up the wall. And when it's a negative leading coefficient, my snake starts, good Lord, my snake starts by climbing down the wall. I don't remember if I said that yesterday, but I think of a snake and how I keep track of this one is the positive guy, that one's the negative guy, is I think about if the snake is going up the wall or down the wall. And I'm starting at the left corner when I'm making that call. Okay, so let's start what we're doing today. Quickly, we want to describe the end behavior of these graphs. Here, I'll leave that up there. The very top says, describe the end behavior. Determine whether it represents an odd degree or an even degree. State the number of real zeros. So let's look at 35. Tell me about the end behavior. Both up, both down, both opposite. They're both up. 1 and 3 get a point. So it's up. Both up. Okay, and now from here I know stuff. Is this going to be an even or an odd? Has to be even because they're both up. I can say further than that. Not only is it even, but tell me about that leading coefficient. Is it positive or negative? Positive, because they're both pointing up towards heaven. And then last it says state the number of real zeros. How many zeros do you see on that graph? 4. Okay, and now this one's a little more tricky, so people who help me on this one will actually get some points. Yes, ma'am. Let's see. Left up. I'll be specific. Left up, right down. Mackenzie, was that you? Natalie, 2, you get a point. Woo, I hadn't heard that voice in a while. Okay, is it even or odd? 2, she said it first. She was fast. It is odd. And then the leading coefficient has to be negative because immediately that snake is starting down that wall.
1 0.
And there's only 1 0. My gosh, 1 more point for her. Okay, and last but not least, 37. Tell me about the end behavior.
Left down, right up.
Keep going.
Is it going to be even this time?
Is it? It's odd because they're going opposite and then keep going after that. Tell me about that leading coefficient. Because we're climbing up the wall. And then tell me about the zeros. Okay, so if you understood that, you understood what we did yesterday. That maze should be a piece of cake. Now, is there a problem or two trying to trick you on the maze? Yes. Specifically, there's a problem that's like x to the 7th minus 3x squared all over x. Hey guys, you know there's an x that factors out of that numerator. It didn't cross the x-axis twice. How many times did it cross that x-axis? Okay, there is one on the maze that tricks you. You think the degree is 7, but you're being a blind. The degree should actually just be 6. So just FYI for your maze, if you were getting stuck on it, I bet you got stuck on this problem. The degree is actually 6. You're being a blind. They tried to trick you. The maze from yesterday.
Was it K?
Was it K? In the maze?
Yeah.
I don't think I wrote the exact problem, but yeah. It's supposed to be, it should end up being degree 6, and I bet you thought it was 7. Because you didn't think through the math part. Okay, let's talk about the rest of these notes, which again, I'm going to skip some of it because we understand it now. We've been talking about multiplicity, and we talked about if it had an even multiplicity, when it crossed the graph at that point, let's say this spot was supposed to be a multiplicity of 2, then it was going to end up being like a parabola at that point. It was going to bounce. So if it's an even multiplicity, it ends up bouncing at that point. But again, we discussed that last Friday and Monday, so we kind of already knew that. So if it's an even multiplicity, you end up bouncing at that point with your graph. If it's an odd multiplicity, it stinks. So like if we had x minus 1 to the third, x plus 1, you would tell me the zeros were at negative 1 and 1. And you would tell me at 1 there was a multiplicity of 3. Well, it stinks because at that spot with multiplicity of 3, so you're like, okay, it's to the fourth, I bet it's a W, something like this. What stinks is you just cross through on odds. So odds, you don't actually get to do the fun bounce. It's just a normal. Or it's just a normal cross through. Normal cross through. Yes, dear. Yes. And that's why you messed that up on the test, yes. But you're never going to miss that again.
Just threw me out there.
Yeah, I did. Okay, I have 5 problems I'm going to work, and I'm going to work them so fast. Oh my gosh, I'm going to work them so fast. And again, they were on your last test, so you should have it, but some of you have blonde moments like Hunter, and you're going to get your blonde moments together before the next test occurs. Okay, if you didn't understand that, it's okay. I swear we're about to hit it like 3 more times. 8, 9, and 10. Really easy to spot those zeros. What are my 3 zeros on 8? Whoa! 3, 4, 2 is negative 3, negative 4, positive 2. My goodness. Negative 3, negative 4, positive 2. Do any of these have a multiplicity bigger than 1? What is the degree of this thing? It is 1, 1, 1, because all x plus 3 is raised to the 1. It's 1 plus 1 plus 1, so my degree is 3. Is my leading coefficient right now, is it positive or negative? It's positive. So I know I have a snake climbing up the wall, and I know it needs to cross these 3 points. So literally, I know from that list that I have a snake that starts by climbing up the wall, and that he somehow has to cross all of these points. Now, I never said he was a good snake. But again, I have a snake, because opposite ends are doing opposite stuff, climbing up the wall, and he has to cross through all of those points. Are there any questions on how I sketched that graph?
Yes.
Yes. Who said yes?
Me.
You. Okay, cool.
Why did you start at negative 4?
Because we decided our degrees were negative 4, negative 3, 2. And again, we always start from left to right in life? So I started down here because I knew I needed the snake to climb up the wall because you told me it was a positive leading coefficient. Because I need the snake to climb up the wall. If I'm looking at it, if I started the other way, it would be a snake climbing down the wall. Like looking at the snake, wouldn't he be climbing down the wall then? So I need the snake to climb up the wall, specifically because it was a positive leading coefficient. Okay, so, and again, I might, if I had a number out front like a 3, it would stretch me more. If I had a fraction out front, it would make me fatter, but we're not even focused on that. It's does our churro have the zeros? And then is his in behavior correct for this specific one? And how does he decide that in behavior based off that degree and leading coefficient? Okay, so number 9, I've got some zeros. Where are my zeros? Negative 3. Positive 1, negative 3, positive 1. Do any of my zeros have a multiplicity? Yes. Tell me about the multiplicity. Multiplicity of 3 because of that 3. And this one has a multiplicity of 2 because of that 2. And so all I know is that, well, hold on. Let's go ahead and do degree and leading coefficients before we try to draw this thing. The degree is 5, and the leading coefficient is positive. Okay, so it's an odd degree, which means our ends can't match. So I'm not going to end up with a W or anything where we're going both up, because that would be even. I've got to have an up on one end and a down on the other end. I know that in my head, especially since that degree is positive, I got to think through stuff, so we need the snake to climb up or down the wall. Up the wall. I need him to climb up the wall. So I know down here, I'm starting like this, because I need that snake to climb up the wall. Now, I need that snake to come through that point, that multiplicity of -3. Sadly, that -3, since it has a multiplicity of 3, sadly, it's not going to do a cool bounce or anything fun there. But at that 1, because it's a multiplicity of 2, it's going to end up doing kind of a jump there. Now, I can't promise, this part in the middle is where you and I are guessing. I can't promise it's not like this. I can't promise it's not like this. In real life, if you had a degree 5, I promise to goodness I would let you use your calculator to figure out what on earth is going on in the middle. But regardless, I am positive that the ends have to be opposite. That they have to be pointing opposite ways because the degree is odd. And I'm positive, since the leading coefficient is positive, it has to be climbing up the wall. And I know it has to go through those zeros. And since that one has an even multiplicity, I had to do that cool little bounce there. So the pink highlighted stuff I know for sure I'm right on. It's that middle stuff in between the pink highlighted stuff, because the degree is 5, and you and I are making a wild guess on. Because while we know a 4 is always a W and a 3 is always a snake, we did not talk about a 5 is always this or always that. Darn it, 5s and higher are a pain in the rear. Which is why they won't be on the next test. You should only have to graph 4 and below. Okay, let's look at number 10. It's a little bit easier. What are my zeros on number 10? And do not break my heart. Oh, she broke my heart. She's right with the -3. She's right with the 1. It's not 2. What's the other 0?
0.
If I set this equal to 0, I end up getting x equals 0. So my zeros are -3, 1, and 0. Okay, and then what is my degree on this one?
3.
Are you sure?
4.
And I see a 1 here, a 1 here, and a 2 here. And that 2, 3, 4. I'm with her, 4. Okay, and then is my leading coefficient positive or negative?
Negative.
Okay, so it's degree 4 and it's negative. So what letter of the alphabet should I be thinking? It's an M. It was either going to be a W or an M, and since that leading coefficient is negative, we're going to make some sort of an M. There's one other thing I've forgotten to think about. Kenzie gets you a point. It's that multiplicity. That 1 has a multiplicity of 2. So I know at 1, I need to have that hump of the M. Okay, so I knew it was going to start down. I knew it was going to make some sort of an M. I've got to connect my dots and make my M. But again, like Kenzie said, since it has a multiplicity of 2 at this point, that has to be the second hump of my M. Yes, yes, that's how it looks in real life. Again, Archer, I need you to not cheat and look at what it really looks like. We're just trying to make a good, educated guess. Okay, so again, the reason I'm putting that second hump of the M there is because of that multiplicity of 2. And then otherwise, I'm just making a guess as to how my M looks. Maybe it looks like this. Because it's M. I gotta make it look like an M. I'm literally just trying to make the letter M. But I know the second hump of my M has to be right here. So that's my ugliest M ever. Maybe yours looks a little less ugly up through the top there. But I knew it had to be an M. I knew it had to cross through these points. And I knew because that multiplicity of 2 right here, that second hump of the M had to happen there. Now Arturo is just wanting to know things because he's smart, and that's why we love him. He wanted to know specifically, because that 2 was in front, what would that do? And is it actually in real life stretched a little more than that because that 2 stretches me? Yes. Am I going to give everybody all their points for realizing just this much in life? Absolutely. The fact that Tyreek has figured out they're both down because the degree is 4 and it's a negative leading coefficient. And he's figured out, so that means it's an M. And my second hump of my M has to happen at where that multiplicity of 2 is. I'm happy. Why would I complain? Like, he knows a lot of stuff just from that. Super happy with that. Okay, let's look at, we'll do one more. Oh, no, we won't. We'll do more than one more. Okay, 8, 9, and 10 are great. Why are 11, 12, and 13 so much stinking harder? Why? 4 get a point. They're not in factored form. We don't know the zeros, do we? We know the degree. We know the leading coefficient. We know the degree. We know the leading coefficient. I'm not going to bother to do 11 because I'm telling you, in our class, we're really going to focus on 4 or less. So since the degree is 5, we're going to let number 11 be like else and go away. 12 and 13 we'll actually try. I need the degree and leading coefficient on 12. The degree is, and my leading coefficient is positive or negative. Okay, so it's a positive one. So I know my graph is going to look like what? Because the degree is 3. Is a snake, is it going up the wall or down the wall?
Up.
Snake up the wall. So I know when I connect the dots at the end of the day, I need something like that. So you get a point. 13, my degree is 4. My leading coefficient is positive 1. So what letter of the alphabet am I going to have? Am I going to have an M?
W.
A W, because I have a positive leading coefficient, so I get to have a W. So at the end of the day, might not look as pretty as that W, but I'm going to have a W.
How's the degree 4?
You said degree 3.
So how is it degree?
Oh, how is it? Because the highest exponent was a 4. Okay, so this is the part that stinks, and this is why we've been doing this, and all our other stuff we've been doing. That's why the last test had some problems like this. We need to figure out those zeros. Yes, dear.
Why is it a snake and then a W? They're both the same.
This was degree 3. That one's degree 4.
What's the difference?
The odd ones have to have opposite on the ends.
Oh, yeah, okay.
The W's have to have this. The even ones have to have the same on the ends. Literally the difference. Okay, so this is the part that stinks. We need to know the zeros. So we need to factor this. Is there a GCF I can pull out of number 12? And I can pull out an X for get you another point. So X squared plus 7X plus 10. Can I factor that? X plus something and X plus something. 5 and 2 add to 7 and they multiply to 10. 2, I know you said it. 4, did you say it a few minutes ago and I was just being blind? Okay. 2, you said it. You can have your points. Okay, so now I factored it and I know my 3 zeros. Where are my 3 zeros? Negative 2, negative 5, and why are we skipping that last one? What is this one? 0. 1 and 4 get a point. Negative 2. Negative 5 is going to be over here. I know it's a little off thing. 0. And again, from here, I'm just thinking through what you and I drew at the top. I know it needs to be that kind of a snake, so I'm literally just going to connect the dots to make that kind of a snake because I know it needs to go up the wall since it's got that leading coefficient that's positive. And then I know it's supposed to have opposite ends because the degree is 3. But if yours looks a little different than mine, it's fine as long as yours is going up the wall and your ends are opposite and you're crossing through are 3 points. Because let's face it, I could take my pen and connect those dots and still do the same thing and maybe draw it a little different. I can make it look like, ooh, I could do that green one and still be fine. You're still going to get your points from me. Now, the green one would probably be if we had a really big number out front, which we don't, because the leading coefficient is just a positive 1. But again, I'm not even being that picky. If Tyreek has the right end behavior, and he's crossing through the right spots, he's going to get his points. Okay, on 13, is there any questions about 12? 13, and I'm done rambling about it. I can. God bless you, Hunter. You can have a point for that. If I pull out an x squared, I'm left with an x squared plus 8x plus 16. Okay, so x squared, x plus something, x plus something. 2 and 3 get a point. Okay, but I'm going to go one step further before I say my zeros. Shouldn't I write that then as x plus 4 squared? Now, why is it important I write it like that? 4 get a point. Because it's going to help with that multiplicity. So where are my zeros? And, yes, and then tell me about their multiplicities. They both have a multiplicity of 2. So I know I'm going to put a point at negative 4. I know I'm going to put a point at 0. And more than that, I know at those points, because it's a multiplicity of 2, that's where those humps need to be happening. Now, you and I decided it was a W, hence why I'm deciding it's going to be up-facing humps. So if I'm making a W, I know I'm going to start this way, come up, go back over, come up. But again, Tyreek has to make sure the humps of his W are happening at those zeros, specifically because they have a multiplicity of 2. Is everyone okay with that one? If you were trying to get a head start on tomorrow, I understand if your brain is done today and you need the next 3 minutes to be a person. I get it. If you're trying to get a head start on tomorrow, anything on page 12 is game as long as it's not higher than degree 4. Anything on page 12, the next page after that is game as long as it's not higher than degree 4. You can do the higher one because you're brave, but you don't have to.